Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Cote, and I am your host on today's episode. And today we have Ryan Tanel, founder of Top Producer Investment Capital, as my guest. We're going to be learning all about his business, his journey to business ownership, best practices, and maybe some challenges that he's faced along the way to give you that insider's look to what it's like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this. Welcome, Ryan. It's so great to meet you. Thanks for being on the show.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Of course. Well, let's kick it off. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, personally, I'm just a Texas guy. I grew up in Dallas originally and, went to University of Texas for school and been living in Austin ever since. And so it's a pretty great city. And, I do real estate as my business, and I'm sure we'll talk a lot about that on here. Outside of business, I try to stay active with some pickleball and snowboard whenever I can. 35, single, no kids. So just, keeping, attached to the business and doing what I can to grow the revenue.
Very cool. Well, I'm excited to dive in. Tell me a little bit about your business.
Yeah, sure. So my company is Top Producer Investment Capital. We're the closest to a private equity firm. So basically, what we do is we raise private capital from limited partner investors. And what that means is the investors are passive. They don't have a say in what happens with the company. They just like the types of investment deals that we do, give their money over to us, and then we do all of the work and make them profit from there on out. Obviously, we try to do better than the stock market or other forms of investment with the safety of some kind of backing like real estate or other. Real estate's the most common. So usually the customers we serve are accredited investors, meaning they're millionaires or higher. And we take about $50,000 at a minimum of a chunk and put that into a deal. So typical deals, let's say we buy mostly apartment complexes. We could buy like a 20 unit apartment complex. Let's say that costs us about, $2 million. We got to put $1 million between the down payment and the renovation cost, and then hopefully that building is going to be worth 4 million or more once we're done. So we raise $1 million from investors, use that capital over the course of 2 years to make the building worth more, and then we sell it and give the investors back their profits. And usually there's some cash flow and distributions along the way. So I've been doing this full time since 2021. Before this, I was in real estate as a loan officer since 2013. And I've, in that time done 600 mortgage loans. And I think right now we own about 250 units of property here, all in Texas.
Wow, that is incredible. It's super cool to learn about this. It's something I've not encountered before, so I'm excited to deep dive into it. I want to kick it off and see what does your team look like? Are you building a team around this, or how do you keep your team going?
Yeah, so we're structured a little differently than a lot of other companies, just because the deals that we do are usually pretty large, and we usually have partnerships with other either operators or companies that do something similar. As we grow in size, we may be able to take all of that in-house, but right now we have a few other partnerships that help us grow. But my team, I mean, I've got myself and I've got an assistant that kind of helps with the day-to-day operations of the property, or of the investment structure, and that's really who runs the back office for, managing the investments. But each property that we purchase does have a team either on site that handles some of the management and maintenance. So for instance, we've got a property that needs a leasing agent, they've got a maintenance repair guy. Sometimes we have a cleaning person that goes in there and cleans the units afterwards. And those are really the go-to people that I oversee on a day-to-day basis. I mean, we'll say, they run themselves for the most part. I probably check in with them weekly at this point. But then, on top of that, we have tons of vendors for like landscape guys, construction workers, anything to do with real estate management. We probably have about 150 vendors, but I'm not involved with them much day to day. We usually have the on-site management team handle that.
Oh, nice. Okay. This is great. I'm curious to your why behind real estate too. So what inspired you to get into this?
Yeah, what's interesting? I've grown to really like the product of real estate, but it didn't start off that that's why I got into it. I mean, the main reason was for freedom. So, I came into investing in finance because working a 9 to 5 job is tough and it takes a lot of time, and you kind of have to do it every day. And if you don't, you can't make any money. And so that was kind of my thought, is looking out there saying, is there any other way to earn money other than having to show up every day. And that's the dream, right? If everybody could win the lottery or earn an inheritance and have to never work again unless they wanted to, that's kind of the dream of most people.
Mhm.
And so I said, all right, well, I haven't won the lottery or inherit, so what else options are there? And real estate was the closest as far as a proven track to build large amounts of wealth over time in a way that's pretty structured and pretty likely and already proven out. So as long as you kind of learn the systems, real estate's a good vehicle to get you there. And it's a good form of investing so that eventually, if you build a big enough portfolio, you can have cash flow coming in, on a regular monthly basis, and then just choose to work either on more real estate projects or whatever else you want to do with your life. So yeah, financial freedom was the main goal.
Oh, definitely. And looking at how you're growing in the community, how are you, gaining these clients? How are you marketing yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, real estate or investing, I should say, in general, is very much a relationship business. So, I have a lot of content out there on YouTube and Instagram, and I do podcast shows just like this, and people hear about me. But no one's going to give me $50,000 because they thought my video was really cool. It might start an initial conversation, but a majority of my investors come from either meeting in person or more likely referrals from previous investors that we worked with or people that I've met at conferences or in-person events. And, you have to build a lot of credibility with these people over time. So usually it takes about a year from the time somebody meets me, after, seeing that I'm a trustworthy guy and that this is a real good investment strategy and it's real. It actually happens. I'm not just, a shyster taking people's money. Yeah, usually after about a year, they build enough comfort to get in on one of our deals after we show them, hey, here's how our other deals are performing.
That's a really great, great way to put it. I think that's a golden nugget of this conversation already, for other business owners that are listening to this is that you're really building a trust with people and you're really in the business of people.
Hmm.
Like that's incredible. I love that golden nugget. Looking back at first of all, when did you start the business again? What year was it?
Yeah, so I've been in real estate since 2013, but my company right now was 2021 when I started that.
Okay. Okay. And since then, what is a challenge that you maybe faced in the company that you overcame?
Yeah, oh, there are so many challenges. Like starting any business, right? There's tons. The biggest ones that well, I'd say there's two big obstacles that we face. So real estate investing right now has a lot of headwinds because we operate in cycles. So from, 2000, let's say 10 until probably 2022, there's been a lot of momentum in real estate where values have been going up, rents have been going up. It's a great time to be an investor because as long as you bought something and didn't sell it, you probably made money in the real estate market, even if you were bad at your job. That's really shifted. So in 2022, especially in Texas, we kind of hit the peak of where prices were, and there was, more or less a bubble, and interest rates went up, and a lot of people lost value. People are moving outside of the direct city centers into some of the smaller communities and paying less for rent. And so values have gone down quite a bit and it's a lot less profitable. So there's huge headwinds there as far as, if you got into a deal and didn't underwrite contingencies for, hey, there could be problems in the future. We got to make sure we're pretty conservative and not just buying anything just because there's hype around it, but like, hey, this is a good deal because it will make money even if things go bad. So there's been a lot of competition and operators that have gotten out of the business because they were a little too aggressive on buying stuff at too high a price, and not really knowing how to operate a business good. So that's the main headwind as an industry wide that we're going through. But like I said, it's cyclical. So probably if you get in now and start buying stuff now, you're probably in a good place because we're closer to the bottom and it'll start going back up over the next 5 years. So that's industry wide. But on a day to day, it's like you said, it's a people business as far as our clients, and it's a people business as far as the operating staff that we have. And there's people that have different opinions and levels of experience. So even though I'm the founder and CEO of my company and I have assistants and I have people underneath me, we do partner with other groups to take down some of these bigger deals together. And anytime you're working with other organizations or bigger companies that have maybe different strategic values or directions that they're heading or levels of experience, there might be some decisions where you disagree. And so figuring out who has the decision making authority, making sure you're comfortable with that, and making sure that whoever you do decide to partner with has a great track record. You've done due diligence on them, and it's a very high likelihood that nothing could go wrong because, for most businesses, it might not be as big of a deal, but in our case, we're raising millions of dollars from lots of other people. They're trusting us with reputation and their investment, and those are real serious. And so you just need to spend the appropriate amount of time. And so, the more that I've been in the business, the more that I've learned how important it is that not everyone has the same skill level or interest in these deals. And so you just got to make sure that you put in your effort and you partner with people who have the same values.
Oh, that is huge, especially when you're thinking about, like you said, the large amounts of assets and different things that are involved. And I'd like to dive a little deeper into that and look at how are some of the ways that you're currently addressing that or working through some of those pain points.
Yeah. Do you want to do the real estate market one or the partnership one?
Let's do the partnership one. Mm.
Yeah, sure. So, the deals that we're already in and the partnerships we have, once you kind of get into these partnerships, these are typically 5-year deals. So it's kind of like a marriage. You're locked in for a long period of time. So once you're in a partnership, you're kind of stuck and making the best that you can at that time. Sometimes that means like maybe not getting your way all the time if it's better for the partnership. Sometimes that means having to go above and beyond and do extra work yourself that your partners said that they would do, but they're just not doing. Sometimes that means, hey, coming together and say, we need to restructure who's doing what. So most of it's around conversation and, I don't know, compromise sometimes, but just making sure that there's clear expectations about who is doing what and trying to be more open and vulnerable about saying, hey, here's what I'm thinking and not harboring resentment or withholding anything, just trying to be transparent, honest, and communicate. So, communication is the key to solving any of these bigger deal problems because we're all busy and little things kind of get lost in the flurry of information that's going out there. So, yeah, communication's the biggest one.
Definitely. And when it comes to communication, has there been anything that stands out to you that has been a challenge specifically with communication?
Yeah, a challenge specifically with communication. So the thing that I will say that I think the biggest driver of what makes somebody in my position either successful or not is kind of the speed that they can communicate at. So if there's a problem, like right now we have weekly meetings on our deals, and it's kind of just an overview of what happened in the last week. Is there anything that we need to do to make an adjustment? But you know, if you problem happens, let's say we meet, every Monday. Well, let's say a problem happens on Tuesday, and it's a big deal. If we wait until the next Monday, we could have lost a lot of money if that wasn't handled quickly or brought to our attention. So I think you need to kind of have some expectations around, hey, here are the things that need to be brought up immediately and urgently, and who's the person that can solve those things, versus, hey, these are little things that aren't time sensitive and urgent. And almost in every case, the things that you can solve faster, and and a lot of those times it's solved with good communication, the better the business is going to do as a whole. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's an easier way to solve that other than just saying, as far as communication on some of these deals, someone should be um, solving problems as fast as they can until at least in real estate, you can kind of hit a maximum profitability, and then once you hit that maximum, it kind of goes to cruise control and operates after that. But there's a period during either renovations or deal finding that the faster you can go, the better it'll be.
Definitely. I agree with you there, 100%. Communication is such key, and the quicker you can go from A to B, the quicker you can solve. And kind of like off of that question too, what kind of things do you have structurally in place for that now? Do you have like CRMs you're using? Are you emailing? How are you like specifically addressing the communication?
Yeah, so yeah, the weekly calls are really where all the information is disseminated, and if anything's more urgent, it's just got to be a phone call or a text. We do have CRMs for all of our customers, so we do quarterly financial updates, so everybody can be informed about the process of, how their investment's going along. But these are mostly passive, so investors are usually just curious on how their investments are doing, and they want to be in the know. And then we do have like Monday.com is who we use for task management delegation, and that keeps people accountable to their timelines and deadlines. So yeah, I'm a big fan of software and systems coming in and integrating wherever they can. We have property management software that does a lot of processes automated for us. So yeah, all the systems and softwares that you can have, the better.
Definitely. Well, that really shows how you've been growing as a company and solving those kind of issues to like have the best success. I'd like to kind of dive into the second problem you mentioned, or actually it was the first, so we're going backwards, but kind of looking at the, like you said, like with 2002, Texas hit that peak, and now interest rates like they had went up, and then now we're seeing like that less profitability. Can you dive in a little deeper on that one?
hmm Yeah, so the like a lot of what was going on from, let's say, from 2018 until 2022 in the commercial multifamily space, which is kind of where I do, there were a lot of people seeing how profitable it was to get into real estate. Because like I said, even if you were bad at your job, you probably made money. So a lot of coaches came out and they said, hey, it's really easy. All you got to do is get this Excel spreadsheet, you put the numbers in there, you go and buy these deals and just kind of hold on to it, and you'll make money. And it's like, here's how much money you can make. So there were a lot of coaches getting new people into the business, and there were a lot of new people getting in that didn't really know the value of what could go wrong in these deals, and so they were buying things pretty aggressively for higher prices with assumptions that things would keep going up and getting better forever, and not really realizing that like, hey, there's a day that this has to, like, the rubber band's going to stretch too far and have to kind of snap back. And so that kind of helped inflate things quite a bit. And so when that happened in 2022, interest rates went up. A lot of people have lost their money. So I've seen deals where people have paid $5 million for a building, and it's worth $3 million right now, and it's still operating just as well as it could. It's just the timing on how the market's going right now. And the good news is most of these people have deals that they're, still profitable, and they're making money over time as far as every month they cash flow. So the rents are higher than their mortgage payments. But there's a few that bought these deals expecting rents to go up quite a bit, and their mortgage payments started off higher than their rent payments, and they never caught up. So they're losing money every month, and they have to sell these deals because they're running out of money. And in those times, I mean, people are going to lose tons of money, right? You might lose $2 million on a deal if you overpaid for it. So as far as the way to account for that, you just got to be careful with your assumptions and aggression, and how aggressive you are in your underwriting. The biggest way to compensate for that is to get with a mentor who's been doing it for a while, and they'll just tell you what assumptions are the good assumptions and which ones are a little too aggressive. And then just kind of market timing, and knowing like right now, because we're closer to the bottom, if you buy stuff right now, it might be tough for 1 year, but for the 4 years after that, you're probably going to be uh, a lot more on easy street after that.
Yeah, that does like I had a little anxiety when you said that too. Like, you think about those kind of situations. So what are you currently doing in your business to help mitigate some of that? Or how are you staying on track with the deals that you're investing in?
Yeah, the biggest thing is we're just not selling anything right now. So any deals that we have, we're gonna wait because in a few years they're gonna be worth more money. So we're not selling anything if we don't have to. And then on top of that, we would love to just buy a lot more stuff because things are going to be cheaper right now than they are in the future. The trouble is, people are very scared, and real estate looks very difficult. So, whenever we talk to investors about the deals and the opportunities, they've seen how values have gone from 5 million down to 3 million. And they're like, I don't know if real estate's good. It's kind of scary. Like, bad things could happen. I don't want to invest in that. So, there's a
Mm.
lot less interest from clients to even get into the market as a whole. And so, what we're doing is we're making offers on a lot of these properties because as I said, the values have gone down, and some of them are doing okay and they'll be able to hold and wait it out, but some of them are losing money, and eventually they'll run out and they'll become more desperate, and then they'll have to sell for a lower amount. And if there's a lot of other investors that are also scared and not seeing that it could go back up in the future, it makes for opportunity where there's not as much competition, and we can get a deal at a really, really cheap price from someone who's desperate, didn't know what they were doing, and we can kind of take advantage of that situation, buy it at a cheap price. It'll be worth a lot more later. So it's a bit of a game of patience in that we have to look at, I mean, most of the time back in 2021, we probably looked at 100 properties, and well, I don't know about made offers, but we underwrote them and we said, yeah, these, are here's the price that we would want to pay, and only one out of every 100 would be a good enough deal where the seller was motivated at a right price for us to buy it. Now we probably have to go through 200, 250 deals. And it takes me like, a day or two to look at a deal, underwrite it to her. So we'll probably only do like one deal a year. But that one deal is going to be great. I'd rather do one incredible deal a year than four, kind of average deals.
Yeah, quality over quantity.
Definitely in this game. Yeah. Because if you get your
Yeah,
one home run deal, like that could be worth a ton of quantity.
definitely. And now, how are you staying educated with all of this? Do you work with mentors? Do you work with people? How do you kind of stay on the pulse with this?
Yeah, so I do have a number of mentors in the space that, if I haven't heard from them in a month, I give them a call, but we usually chat at some point throughout the month. I'd say there's probably three or four mentors that I talk to regularly. But outside of that, I mean, I talk to there's probably 50 brokers in the business that I talk to every month, just to kind of get the pulse of how are they seeing things in the market. We talk to lenders. I go to a lot of in-person events. So, like you said, it's a people business. So the more people that I talk to, the more I can stay informed about how the market's doing as a whole and where there's some opportunity, and I can kind of jump in on that.
Definitely. Well, this has been an incredible conversation so far. I want to switch gears slightly and go into our rapid fire Q&A, which is where I ask you four questions and you answer very top of mind.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Question number one is, what is a key to success for you?
The key to success, the biggest one is following in mentorship's path. So finding somebody who's been doing this for a long time and kind of riding their coattails and seeing the right way to do things quickly. Um, yeah, people have already figured out all the problems, at least in real estate. There's not a lot of new stuff that comes out in real estate very often.
Mhm. Definitely great. Number two is, what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Other than the mentorship one, let me see. I mean, I usually say stuff around education. So I've learned a lot of stuff by just getting in there and doing it, even if it was difficult or time consuming or scary or um, I didn't think I would be good at it. There's like I had to teach myself accounting. I've taught myself social media. I've taught myself video editing. I've had to teach myself, how to raise money from other people. So a lot of these things, like if you get in there and you do it yourself and you learn how it's done, that's inherently way more valuable than just having to trust that someone else can do it. And I think the main reason is because if you trust somebody else to do it, you don't know if they're going to do a good job or a bad job. And granted, there are some people that are specialized in skills you should hire out. But if it's something that's integral to your business where you're using it all the time, it's a good idea to know the basics of like how it works so you can tell if somebody does good work or bad work. So education on learning the details of every part of your business.
Oh, definitely. I love that. Number three is, what is a piece of content you've taken in most recently? It could be a book, podcast, anything.
Yeah, so I'm a big Audible listener, and I'm outside of business. I love just psychology in general. There's this one called The Pursuit of Happiness, and I mean it's 10 hours of content on Audible, and they talk about the psychology of all the things that happen that make people happy. Whether if it's if you make more money or less money, are you going to be happier? If you have good relationships, or what are the aspects that bring happiness to life? And so I think that's fun because I'm in this business to be happy, and hopefully money's part of that and freedom's part of that. But yeah, the more I can learn about what can I just do every day to make myself, 10% happier, I think I'm going to do it.
I'm down for that. I just wrote that down. I'm going to check it out. I love that. And the final question is, if you could wave a magic wand and overnight improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Um, yeah, so customer acquisition is the biggest thing that we have right now. And I know it is a relationship business, but our top of funnel is pretty narrow because it's me and I don't have a big staff. So figuring out a way to get our brand out there so our top of funnel increases to a lot of people, that's the biggest next step for us.
Well, thank you so much for this. And before we get into our final question, let's help you get that going right now. How can people connect with your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So my company is Top Producer Investment Capital. We've got a website. If you want to just Google us, you'll find us there. We have a YouTube content and Instagram, kind of all with the same handle, Top Producer Investment Capital.
Wonderful. And for our final question today, Ryan, what is most inspiring to you today?
Most inspiring? I love the people that just really love what they do, that they wake up and none of this seems like work or effort. They're just, excited to get up and start working on their dreams and, happiness in life. It's all kind of one big fluid thing that nothing feels like effort or work. So, yeah, the people that can accomplish that are amazing.
Yes, completely agree. Well, this has been a great discussion. Thank you for sharing about your business. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Kay.